Welcome to Vacuum Wars and to our review of the Eufy E25 Omni, a robot vacuum mop combo from Eufy's E-Series. Unlike many of Eufy's robots that use dual spinning mop pads, this one features their roller mop system and many of Eufy's most advanced features in general. We bought an E25 for ourselves and have been testing it extensively over several weeks to find out what it does well and where it falls short. In this review, I'll also dive into some important customer service issues, how Eufy responded, and what that means for our overall ranking of this robot. So links in the description, and let's get started. First, the basics. The Eufy E25 sells at the higher end of the mid-tier price range, not quite flagship territory, but close. Like many Eufy products, the E25 is more value-minded than many competitors in this category, with a solid mix of features for the price. The robot itself shares many of the features with the Eufy E28, which is a more advanced option that includes a detachable carpet cleaning unit in the base, which we have previously reviewed here on Vacuum Wars. Moving on to the pros, the E25 comes with Eufy's newly designed Duo Spiral Anti-Tangle main brush, and it's also equipped with two side brushes, one of which extends to reach into corners, which is a useful feature for corner coverage, and one that I've come to expect to see on a robot at this tier. The E25 did well at its main job of sweeping up debris of all sizes from the surfaces of hard floors and carpets without too much scattering. It did great in our carpet deep clean test too. For this test, we embed sand into medium pile carpet and then weigh how much the robot was able to remove. And the E25 beat the average robot score by a wide margin. It also got strong scores in our 2.5-inch pet hair pickup test. For this one, we flattened out hair on a carpet to mimic real-life pet hair conditions, and the robot was able to remove 93% of the hair for another above average score. The E25's new anti-tangle brushes also worked perfectly in our 7-inch hair tangle test, where it had 0 hairs wrapped around the main brush. Again, far better than the average robot. Its mopping system was another pro. As mentioned, Eufy switched from a dual spinning mop pad design to a roller style mop with the E25. The E25's Hydrojet rinse system continually introduces clean water to the roller, while used water gets squeegeed from the roller into an onboard dirty water tank. The roller uses an impressive 14.7 newtons of downward pressure. The rollers also lift up 10.5 millimeters above carpet to prevent carpet fibers from getting wet. This means that the robot is able to clean floor plans with both hard floors and carpets in a single run, which is really important. In terms of its actual mopping performance, which we judge using our dried on stain test, the E25 was slightly above average. However, it got a little bit higher of a water penalty than I like. This is where we measure how much water the mop leaves behind after a run. Excessive residual water can be bad for leaving behind streaks, especially on dark floors, and here it was just above average. So the mopping system was good, but not amazing in my opinion. Moving on to obstacle avoidance, the E25 uses Eufy's AI.C system, which combines an RGB camera with artificial intelligence that's been trained to recognize 200 objects. It also has an LED light assist to help the camera in dark lighting conditions. This worked very well in our obstacle avoidance tests and torture test, where the E25 avoided a total of 21 out of a possible 24 obstacles, which is notably good, much better than the average of 17 objects avoided. For navigation and mapping, it had really good marks. This model uses a top-mounted LiDAR, which, in my opinion, often performs better than embedded LiDAR systems, which are becoming so common. We saw this play out again with the E25, which covered 0.9 square meters per minute, which is about 28% faster than our testing average. As far as battery life, the official battery life of the E25 on its lowest power setting sits at 216 minutes, while the average for its competitors is closer to 150. In our tests, where we run it on all of its power settings, we found it to be a little below average. For example, the average battery efficiency is 1.3 minutes per 1% of battery life, where the Eufy only had 1.1 minutes per 1% of battery life. But this small negative in terms of its battery life ends up being a wash because of how efficient the navigation is, as we saw moments ago. When you combine the navigation efficiency with its battery life, the E25 still covers more estimated square feet per charge than average. The Eufy app is pretty good. It has the main things that you need for a robot at this level, like virtual barriers, lots of fine-tuned control over things like zone cleaning and schedules, and it's Matter compatible. But it's still not quite as good, in my opinion, as its competitors like Roborock or Dreamy, and there are some missing features that I like, which I will get to in the cons. For the cons, let's start off with the suction and airflow. The suction wasn't great in our bench tests, pulling noticeably below average. The airflow was also lagging in our tests, and while the robot did great with the carpet deep clean test and the pet hair pickup test, as we saw, these lower suction and airflow results did seem to show up in the crevice pickup test, where it came in right at the average score, which mostly affects homes with deeper grout lines or flooring seams. Another thing is that the roller mop does not extend to one side, which limits the robot's ability to reach edges nearest walls. The E25 does make up for this somewhat in the fact that it has a more square shape to begin with, meaning it's already a little closer to edges without the added reach, but it is something to note. Now let's talk about a customer service issue that initially had us pretty scared of the E25. We take Amazon reviews into consideration with our ranking system on the Vacuumor's top 20 robot vacuum list, and initially there was a 20% one-star rating for the E25, which is concerningly high, though that number has since gone back down to a very respectable 5% for reasons that I will note. It turned out there was a fault in the design of the dirty water tank on board the robot that caused the tank to leak used water. Several users said that Eufy was quick to respond to this problem, sending them the corrected water tank. Eufy has since upgraded the tanks and replaced the Amazon listing for both the Eufy E25 and the Eufy E28, which apparently shared the same tank fault. And users with this problem are encouraged to reach out to Eufy for the corrected part. The E25 doesn't have a clean along floor direction feature where the robot will mop along the floor direction, which minimizes the appearance of streaks, which is a feature I would have liked to seen. It also doesn't have live video monitoring despite having a camera, which seems like a missed opportunity. But most of my cons are pretty nitpicky and no deal breakers as long as that water tank issue is fixed, and after adding up all the scores, the Eufy E25 is currently ranking 16th on the Vacuumor's top 20 robot vacuum list on our website, which we keep updated weekly, which is a very respectable rank for its price. And I think the Eufy E25 is an especially good buy if you can catch it on sale. Links in the description, and be sure to subscribe to Vacuumor's before you leave. Thanks for watching. All of the links in the description are updated regularly to reflect our current favorite vacuums in multiple categories. You'll also find links to the Vacuumor's website in the description, where we have more detailed lists of our favorite products, like our new top 20 robot vacuums list, which is updated weekly.